Monday. I'm Asia in Spanning Gateway. I'm back on my channel for, I don't know how long, but, I'm going to post this video. We're talking about divine feminines and divine masculines and karmics and what those things, the possibility of what those things are. Okay, because I can't really give you all of what they are. I can only give you ways of seeing them. And this is from my perspective, my point of space, okay, from my knowledge and awareness and experience. So when it comes to divine feminine and divine masculines, we first need to understand that these are ideas and concepts of energies just based off of the usage of words, because words are what we use to identify and communicate these things. It doesn't make them exactly what they are. So we must understand and have our own definition, defining, identification, observation. Observation is important because that implies experience of what these things are, especially when it comes to divine and what we consider to be divine, because that's another way of being led astray by terminology and words and spelling. Okay, so you must have an understanding of what it means to be divine and have that understanding for yourself. And usually how we can come to those conclusions is when we attribute it to things of the per se the divine. That's a word of describing things that are supposedly godly, more identified with the angelic realm, things that are of higher natures, higher natures instead of lower demonic natures, lower natures. Is even if you want to look at it, because higher and lower is not even real either. It's just a way that words and expressions that we use to identify areas of space. So just like Dolo says, distance and closeness is another good way, probably even better way to identify higher and lower. Distance and closeness and higher and lower. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, sorry, I had to think about something real quick. What was I saying? So yeah, we're talking about things of the divine, something that's supposedly using the wordage of godly, angelic, um, things of higher or distant, okay, nature, right? Higher, distant, lower, closeness, especially when you can picture the angulation of space. The angulation, you're able to use your perception to see these type of things because they're not in front of our faces, but we're using our mind, the mind, images, imagination, okay, in order to see these things that are not right in front of our two eyes. We're able to tap into the mind, tap into records and imagery and memory based off of images that we've already seen and we have already identified within ourselves in our own mental space. So when it comes to divine, that's more of what people attribute it to. And not just that, that goes deeper when you get into the natures of that display distance and closeness, higher and lower natures, animalistic natures, godly natures. And so divine will be more of the godly natures, people that, people should have their own definition of what divine is. But if I was to picture somebody that's divine, I picture somebody that is participating in their spiritual practice. They're on their spiritual path, who act in higher natures, treat people well, have healthy relationships. There's not no, you can define it in one way if you choose to, but it's up to each of us individually to identify someone that's acting more in their higher natures or not, because they probably won't be stealing and lying and cheating and holding on to people that don't need to be held on to. Um, so those are good ways to identify, because that'll get you into understanding the divine feminine, these idea of these concepts, divine feminine and masculine, because you'll know that these are the ones that are acting in their higher natures. And it also can be attributed to, I guess, the 144,000, or what people call the chosen ones, or however you want to, define that. There's many different ways to define this energy, but what the important thing to understand is that it's energy. It's not definitions. It's not concepts. It's ideas of what these energies are and the energies that they hold. And it's easy to identify these energies by these certain characteristics. So feminine obviously is the feminine energy. We more attribute it to women. But there's many ways that people identify these certain type of energies. Everybody's on their own individual path. And like I said, if you want to identify somebody, you watch by the fruit that they bear, right? We all know that. So when it comes to karmic energies, we know that's the polar shift, the polar opposite of what someone who divine is, and that would be the ones who are manipulating, cheating, you know, lying, killing, stealing, reeling, all that type of shit. All that shit, and there's a whole lot of shit out here. There's a whole lot of shit that's karmic, that can be identified as karmic. And that's people, beings that act in their lower natures, that get down in certain ways, that are comfortable. It gets way deeper into that, because it identifies a level of access to consciousness, and how they use their consciousness and their natures and the natures that they hold. So, yeah, it goes deep. So that's how we identify divine, people, how we can. I'm not saying you saying about what you believe. This is, I'm showing you how to identify certain energies, whether you're in a karmic relationship or not. And sometimes it's hard to tell. It gets that deep. And a lot of times we have to learn certain lessons. That's why we go through karmic cycles, that we tend to go through over and over and over, until we learn that we're in a karmic situation or a karmic relationship in which we're supposed to detach from, distance. Okay. Or, and then you're supposed to learn healthy relationships in which to attach to. Knowing how to attach and detach is very much spiritual. So divine, okay? Divine is also attributed to the divine. There's many ways to identify. There's many different ideology on how to identify the divine, and that's of the higher spiritual, also higher spiritual aspect of life. Because not only in the spirit, it's also demonic and angelic. So, it's a polarity in everything. But the spirit realm is also another way to identify the divine, and people that are of the spirit, right? People who are of the spirit are also considered of the divine. Now, divine also works in the polarity with angelic and demonic things. So there's beings that serve many different purposes out here. There's people doing many different things. There's people who have many different contracts that they're under, things that you are contractually here to do. And a lot of that has to do with our predecessors and our bloodline and our lineage, and clearing up karma in the bloodline. Shit gets deep in the spirit. But we have to start to understand that these things are actually part of everyday life, and it's not a belief system. We have to be able to look at our everyday life and know that we're going through the same shit over and over again, until we're able to come out of that and not wait on Jesus to come. Wait on Jesus to come and fix the problems, as if Jesus is going to come save us. No. Like when we're in a dangerous situation, hopefully our spiritual predecessors are there, in order for us to have guidance, right? we're able to tap into spirit and our predecessors and our what is the word I want to use? I can't even think of the word, but anyways, for us to tap into spirit in order to have that guidance, because if we're not sure about what's going on around us, then we can be led into situations not best for us, or relationships that's not best for us. And in order to clear up these things generationally, because we have been cyclically, continually to participate in the same behavior. And that's what a lot of what this time is right now too, that we're going through, is to be able to come out of these lower natures into our higher natures, especially when it comes to clearing up things on this planet. So that's divine, feminine, masculine, and karmic. And karmic is not just a relationship with a person. Karmic can be a relationship with things, with food, with addictions, with codependency, with health issues. Okay, things that are in the negative polarity are identified with karmic. So that's how we're able to identify these things within ourselves, so we know things that we need to clear up for our own individual selves. Okay, happy moon day.